If a parent is deported and they know where their child is in the United States, how do they get their child back?
Congresswoman Karen Bass from California there at the end asking the question that the Trump administration had no plan to answer when they started taking kids away from their parents. How do they get their child back? Joining us now is Congresswoman Karen Bass. She's a Democrat of California, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and she's chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. She was at today's hearing on family separations. Congresswoman Bass, it's a real pleasure to have you here tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
First of all, I'm struck by the fact that, as far as I can tell, these are the first subpoenas to the Trump administration from Congress since the Democrats have taken control. And to have it happen on this issue, to see that pointed and emotional hearing today, I just wanted to get big picture, your perspective on whether or not this is going to change, whether or not this is something that can be remedied, whether you think Congress can make progress on this.
Well, I absolutely think it has to be remedied, but I think that there's going to need to be legislation that absolutely requires the government to take responsibility for reunification, because you know right now the government is not responsible. I think that the parents that were deported, they need to send the children back. They also need to incur the expense, because I have been told on numerous occasions that families have to pay to have their children flown home. But one of the things that concerns me a lot, Rachel, is this category of parents that were considered ineligible to reunify with their children. There is no basis for a Border Patrol agent to determine who is eligible or ineligible to be a parent. We do not treat children that way in the child welfare system when their parents have been charged with neglect and abuse. So why on earth would we do that to parents who have not had any charge like that at all?
The slipperiness of this as a policy is part of what has made it hard, I think, to cover, and I think hard for the general public to keep track of whether or not progress is being made and whether or not the general public outrage over this policy is being attended by this administration. Part of, I feel like, what you were getting at today in your questioning, and some of your other colleagues on your committee as well, was the issue of whether or not the administration actually has a coherent policy on this, whether or not it ended at a specific time, whether there are still ways that families are being separated even when the administration says that the policy broadly is over. Do you feel like you and your colleagues are getting to the bottom of whether or not this is still happening and to what degree?
No, I think we're right at the surface, but I do think they have a coherent policy. Their policy is to punish parents and to have that be a deterrent so that people won't continue to come across the border. One of the most egregious policies, I think, that we will look back years from now and say we cannot believe that our government actually did this. So I think they have a coherent policy. I do think progress is being made on the children that are party to the lawsuit of the ACLU, but the children that were not involved in that lawsuit before the case was filed and after, I'm not sure what's happening there. I do believe separations are continuing because it's not clear who they decide is a family member or not. Does a grandmother qualify? Does a sibling qualify? Does an aunt qualify? I don't believe they do. And they do still separate the children, and I don't believe that they know how many children were separated. I believe they are only accounting for the children in the lawsuit, not the ones before and not the ones after.
Congresswoman Karen Bass of California, thank you for your time tonight. I know that this is just the start with the Judiciary Committee and with Congress in general. I hope you'll keep us apprised as you guys keep digging into this. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.